NBA Straya. How are you going? How you going? Are you right? I hope so. Why is that, Jim? Well, it's hump day. March 12. All day. Tell you what. Love a good hump day. Hate to be a tin in about a couple of hours. I'm your host, James Clements. I'm here in Larry Armour Studios for a quick Wednesday show. What do you mean quick, Jim? Well, we're just going to do power rankings and a standings check-in today, as well as a preview for all the games tomorrow, because there's only 4 games today. A couple of them already over. There's only one really good one, and it's the Bucks-Pacers game, which is pretty awesome. So that's going to be it today. We don't have an update yet on Josh Giddey's injury, but we'll get into that in a second with a little bit of news. But that's all today. So without further ado, should we just get into it? I think we should. Episode 1223 of NBA Straya. Let's go!
This is Josh Giddey.
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze.
This is Jack White.
This is Joe Ingles.
This is Darcy Daniels.
This is Chris Anstey.
This is Matthew Delvedova.
This is Shane Hill.
Hi, this is Ryan Brockhoff.
This is Mitch Creek. This is Nick Kay.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening and watching NBA Straya.
This is NBA Australia. Let's do it.
Watch out for the shark attack.
You better. Or at least, I don't know, the Brooklyn Nets attack if you're the Celtics. The Cavs. That was a fun game. As mentioned at the top, we're just going to smash through some power rankings and gear today, which is kind of fun, just a little bit different, because I've got to run off and get to the Sport NXT conference. So let's start today's show with the daily. Oh, it's a whip around, is it, Jim? Yes, it's a whip around. Very quickly, no J-Dub tomorrow for this awesome OKC Boston game, which is pretty fascinating, of course. It is very fascinating, isn't it, Jim? Yes. 2 of the 3 best teams in the NBA. Hashtag spoiler alert for the power rankings. Anyway, outside of that, there's not a giant amount going on. We're sort of basically got Johnny Kuminga, old Cumbucket, is on his way back later this week for the Warriors, which is a nice little boost for them. And look, they're going to very sort of slowly ramp him up, and it's just a nice little extra weapon for this Warriors team, which again we'll talk about in a second in the power rankings. So that's kind of it. And obviously with today's games, we've seen Cleveland. We've already nailed 2 of the picks so far today. Detroit smashed the Wizards 123-103, and Cleveland got by Brooklyn in the end 109-104. Pacers are sort of stretching out a little bit of a lead over the Bucks. Expect them to come back though, so we'll talk about those games tomorrow. All right, should we do a quick standings check, or should we do that after we do the power rankings? We'll do the standings check because look, basically all I want to do here is like just sort of focus in on what matters for the sort of next 4 weeks. We've got basically a month left in the season. What happens next, Jim? And what matters, eh? And that's what we'll answer for you. So let's start at the East. Standings, check-in. Cleveland. Obviously number 1. They're 55-10 after today's win. Untouchable at the top of the East, right? 8 games clear of Boston, who are 47-18. Boston then are obviously well clear, 5.5 games clear of the Knicks, who are in the 3 spot in the East at 41-23. The Knicks are basically, so 1, 2, 3 is essentially locked in because the Knicks are 4.5 games clear of the Bucks, and that's where it gets interesting. The Bucks, the Pistons, and the Pacers, because the Pistons won today. They actually jumped ahead of the Pacers right now, but the Pacers are playing. If they win, they'll probably jump back up, right? So Bucks in 4, ahead of the Pistons, a half game up, and then the Pacers. So that's 4, 5, 6. That is the interesting playoff race down the stretch in the East, right? Obviously 4-5, however that way flips, that gets home court in the first round against the 5 seed, which would be pretty important between all these teams, I'd say. So the fact that Detroit have jumped all the way up into 5, even for half a day, is pretty impressive. Pacers, look, they'll feel pretty good if they can get up to the 4. Bucks will too, but still. 7. This is the play-in territory. The Hawks are currently 1.5 games clear of the Orlando Magic men, who are in the 8th spot. Tied, essentially, but ahead on... 1.5 games back. Same as Miami in 9. But the Magic are percentages ahead of the Heat, having played more games. 2, in fact. I believe. So, anyway, the simple idea is Miami are in 9, and this is a problem. Because you have to win on the road. Well, you got to win at home in a knockout play-in game against the 10-seeded Bulls. The Bulls are there by themselves, right? Miami it's getting really wonky really quickly. They've got a big game tomorrow. Hopefully they win that. But the Hawks, Magic, and Heat, that's 7, 8, 9. That's the other big race in the East. So outside of that, can the Sixers actually catch the Bulls? Probably not. They are 4.5 games back in 11. A half game behind them are the Raptors and the Nets, and then you got the Hornets and the Wiz. Way out west in the Western Conference, you've got Oklahoma at the very top. They look unbeatable. They are 53-12. Your Oklahoma City Thunder, aka the Zombie Sonics, pouring out for my beloved Seattle. 53-12. They are 11 games ahead of the Denver Nuggets. That's right, it's the Nuggets, who are 42-23, 11 games back. Then you got the Lakers, and this is obviously, look, the West is much more complicated than the East because 2 through 5 is separated by 2 games. And then 6 through 8 are separated by 1.5. So at the moment, 2 is Denver, 42-23. The Lakers are 40-23, a game back there. 41-24 are the Grizzlies. They're basically, percentage behind the Lakers by virtue of having won one more game but lost one more. Then you got the Rockets at 40-25. So there is essentially from the 2 seed down to the 5 seed a difference of 2 losses from Denver through to Houston. Then in the 6th spot, you've got the Golden State Warriors. Fascinating case for them down the stretch as well. They're 16 games back of the Thunder, right? So they're 3 games behind the 5 seed. So 2, 3, 4, 5 separated by 2 games. Denver, Lakers, Grizz, Rockets. Awesome race down the stretch. Then in the 6th spot, you've got the Warriors, as mentioned, only a half game ahead of the Wolves and only 1.5 games ahead of the Clippers, 6, 7, 8. Fascinating race, right? Because obviously 6, you're locked into a playoff series. You'll probably play, at the moment to be Lakers Warriors, which Adam Silver's like, we're making this happen. Don't you worry about that, Jim. 7, obviously, you get the home court, double chance for the play-in. 8 gets a little bit wobbly. The Clippers have looked fine-ish. We'll get to that in power rankings, but geez. So Warriors, Wolves, Clippers, fascinating race there. And then you got the 9-10 spot, which is Sacramento, 1 game up on the Dallas Mavericks. Imagine trading Luka Doncic. Jeez. Amazing gear. Remember they were like, top 4? Anyway. And Phoenix are 2.5 games back of Dallas. And that's the sort of race, right? So behind them, they've got the Blazers, the Spurs, the Pels, and the Jazz, and they're all basically Dunskies. The Blazers are kind of fun, but they are 5 games back of Dallas in the 10 spot. I don't think they'll be able to claw that back. So there is your standings check. With about a month to go, with like every team about 18 games out, 20 games out, thereabouts. There's a lot of room for like maneuvering, of course, across 4 weeks. And you sort of look at that 2, 3, 4, 5 in the West is one of the crucial ones. Obviously 6, 7, 8 is a little bit more interesting, but because you feel like if the Warriors get the right matchup in the 3-6, they have themselves a bit of a puncher's chance. They're also only 3 games back of the Rockets, so the Warriors can vault themselves up into that sort of argument, 2 through 5. They have won 5 on the trot, the Warriors. Just saying. So have the Wolves. So it's getting really interesting in the West. The East, as I mentioned, it's 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. That's one of the Squid's jokes. Hey, Dad, why was 6 scared? Because 7, 8, 9. Oh, good one, buddy. Good one. I'll tell you what, the funniest thing in the world about having 2 Squids is the baby now is like, I want to be a part of this entire thing. I want to be the center of attention. I don't know who he gets that from. But the oldest one, he's 6. The other one's 2. And the oldest one's like, Dad, do you want to hear a joke? And I'm like, of course, buddy, always. And then the baby like, Dad, want to hear a joke? And he's like, I'm like, sure, pal. And he's like, what did the cow say? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, bum! And I'm like, ah! To be honest, not bad. Probably funnier than the older ones too. Just saying. Pretty good. He's the comedian. Anyway, that's some good stuff. That's the standings check-in. Cleveland, Boston, and OKC looking unimpeachable. So let's get to the power rankings. Power rankings for week 21. I've got these built into a bunch of tiers. Let's start at the bottom. Started at the bottom, now we're here. Let's start with tank warfare. These are the rubbish teams, of course. And why is it called tank warfare? Well, the Jazz, the Hornets, the Wizards, they are all absolutely horrible. And in terms of power rankings, it's like who's playing the worst right now? And it's probably the Jazz because they sit everybody all the time. But it is interesting, those top 4 teams with the worst records, Utah, Pelicans, Washington, Charlotte, are all in the tank warfare mode. But the Pelicans are at least kind of fun. So they're in the terms of the power rankings, I'm going to go the Jazz because they're just sitting dudes and they're playing a G League team. It's like, hey, you want to see Bryce Sensabaugh and Isaiah Collier today? Not really. Anyway, the Charlotte Hornets are ahead of them because it's like LaMelo, Miles Bridges, and he sucks and like whatever. The Wizards have a bit of a puncher's chance every so often, right? So that's how we're going to rank them. Then we go the Sixers because they're just horrible. Like they're such a tough watch. Then we've got the Nets, who at least are feisty every so often. Then we go the Pelicans because they have Zion, they have a bit of talent. They're just 17-48. They just can't win games. So it's like whatever, but at least they're kind of entertaining. And they do have a puncher's chance in some of these games, especially, covering the line, etc. Then we've got the Raptors at the very bottom of tank warfare because they're 22-43. And like this is absolutely tank warfare, right? Every team in the bottom 5 in the East is involved in tank warfare. And then you got the Pelicans and the Jazz. So it's 7 teams at the bottom of this one. I'm going to rank them: Jazz 30, 29 Hornets, 28 Wiz, 27 Sixers, 26 Nets, 25 Raptors. Then we've got the just bad tier. This is actually we could probably insert a tier here as well. The used to have Luka Doncic and now don't and are absolutely fucking horrible. That'd be the Dallas Mavericks, wouldn't it, Jim? Yes. They're currently in the 10 seed. They did get a win yesterday, but wow, they are bad. 33-33. It's not going to surprise anybody if they drop out of the play-in. Right? If Phoenix jumped them, boom. But wow, they're horrible. They just stink. They've got no healthy players. They've got no one bigger than 6'6" at this point. Like, it's an absolute train wreck. The bin fire to end all bin fires. Right? It's like you're on the Goldie. It's bloody, I don't know if you went up there for your schoolies or whatever, but just like there's a bin burning and the cops are preoccupied and it's just gone. It's just like it is pumping out the most noxious shit you could ever imagine. There's like Bacardi breezes popping off in there as well. It's just nuts, right? That's the Mavericks. The next tier is just bad. And this is the San Antonio Banderas Spurs, who have these moments where they're like, oh, we're okay. And then you're just like, oh, but then they lose to the Mavericks like they did yesterday. And you're like, oh, De'Aaron Fox is not quite enough. And the Miami Heat, right? They're just, they're so bad. The Spurs have gone 2-8 in their last 10. They lose Wemby and it all just falls apart. But, I mean, there's still at least talent, and it's probably good for them in the long run just to keep pumping this one and then go get Cooper Flagg, right? The funniest thing is going to be when the Spurs win the draft lottery. And then the other just bad team is Miami. They're just bad. Like, they stink. They've lost 4 on the trot. They're such a tough watch as well. As I said yesterday, Terry Rozier's like, boys, just follow my lead. I'm just saying, we might make some money. It's like, you're in the NBA. What are you doing? So that's the just bad tier. How about the chaotic bad tier? This is the Chicago Bulls. They are chaotic bad. They lose Josh Giddey. We don't have an update on a timetable for his ankle injury yet. I think Billy Donovan did say that he sprained it. Fingers crossed he's okay. Fingers crossed it's nothing worse. But the Bulls are chaotic bad. Like, there's just chaos every time they play. They don't win too many games, and then they just do. And you're like, what the hell was that? And they're like, Josh Giddey's going off. And you're like, sick. Like, that win over Miami was awesome. They've won 3 on the trot. They've basically just locked themselves in the 10 spot in the East. Great job, Bulls. Then you've got the Magic, who are chaotic bad because they'll have a game like the other day where they beat the Bucks, and you're like, what the hell was that? And then they have a game like they did yesterday where they score 84 points. And you're like, that's just chaos and also bad. Phoenix, chaotic bad. Because Kevin Durant can go 7-9 from downtown and you still get beat by the Grizzlies. Just, what are you doing? The Suns are horrible. And the Blazers, they are very close to the next tier, but they are still chaotic bad because as fun as they are, they have now lost 4 on the trot. They've been blooding the young dudes. They've now got like Do-Up out there playing backup big minutes because they've lost what? They're basically starting Klingon. They've lost Ayton. They've lost Time Lord as well. They aren't very good, but they are chaos. So they're chaotic bad because the next tier is chaotic good, right? So The Blazers are very close to making this one. The Hawks are the first team, well, the bottom team in the chaotic good rankings because they are half decent every so often. And you're like, this is awesome. They've won 3 on the trot. They won without Trae Young yesterday because Dyson Daniels went, hang on a second, I'm the best player on this team. Shut the hell up. And they're awesome fun. Like, just watch a Hawks game and you're like, you have no idea what's going to happen, but it's probably going to be entertaining. Dyson Daniels might have 8 steals, right? That's chaotic good. The Sacramento Kings, same sort of vibe. They've got DeMar DeRozan, they've got Levine, they've got Malik Monk. There is just balls flying everywhere. Souvlaki King's out for a little bit. They are still chaotic good. They have these little runs. They've now lost 2 on the trot, but they had won a couple before that. So that's why they're still in the chaotic good. They're not in the chaotic bad. They had a couple of little wins, a couple of losses. Doug Christie kind of knows what he's doing. They are chaotic good. And then, of course, chaotic good is the Detroit Basketball Pistons. They are real good. And they're up there. Like, the next tier is like fun but flawed. The Pistons are right on the cusp. They are chaotic good right now because they have these games where you're like, they're awesome? Could they beat like the Knicks in a playoff series? Maybe. But then they also have some games where they lose a couple and you're like, oh God. But the Pistons like turn around and get a big win over the Blazers and then smash the Wizards today. And you're like, love this. It came after a loss to the Clippers and the Warriors. They beat the teams they need to. Before that, they beat the Jazz and the Nets. They lost to the Nuggets. They had that awesome win over the Celtics. You remember that a week and a half ago. They are chaotic good. I love the Pistons. I love them so much. Cade Cunningham, like Jaden Ivey's there. Jallinger, like if we get Jaden Ivey back at some point, love it. Let's go Pistons. Fun but flawed. The Clippers. I had them in chaotic good, but now I've got them in fun but flawed because they lost Norm Powell. But they kind of still are okay. Because James Harden's like, I'm still okay. Check this out. Fat Man Hooper. They've won 3 on the trot. And they're games that they sort of really needed to win. They're at the Intuit Dome for all of these games. They beat the Pistons. They got by the Knicks. That Knicks game was really, really good. Knicks without Jalen Brunson. Well, yeah, no Jalen Brunson. They get the the overtime win against the Kings thanks to Kawhi. And then now in an absolute just like dogfight with the Pelicans, which they might lose. They're down 8 in the fourth quarter. But this is it. They're fun, but they are flawed because Kawhi Leonard plays when he wants to, right? And they don't have Norm, and that's the exact sort of thing. Zoobs has been fantastic. Harden's been fantastic, but losing Norm is a massive kick in the dick for them. Fun but flawed, the Rockets. They just can't get healthy. That's their big flaw right now. Hopefully it's just them resting a bunch of dudes as they hit that sort of last month of the season and like right into like a 3 seed. But if they don't get healthy, it's going to be really hard to sort of get this cohesiveness that you need hitting the playoffs, right? That's not where they are right now. So pour one out for the Rockets. They are fun, but they are flawed. They're very young in some respects. And then when you don't have Fred VanVleet, one of the old heads, it's like, oh, you're really young and you're not very good. They really need Fred VanVleet, which is a terrifying thing to say, but it is. And the Pacers, fun but flawed. Health again. If they don't have Tyrese Halliburton, they stink. They have him again today, and they talk about in an awesome game. They're right there with the Bucks right now. They're up by 1 with a minute and a half to go. Halliburton's playing. He hasn't played a great game. He's gone 4 of 11 so far, but when they're healthy, they are a little bit scary, but that's the thing. If they don't have their full component, like full lineup, they are very, very beatable. Then we've got the puncher's chance. So these are teams that you could easily go, right, what happened in the playoffs? Did they make a conference finals, Jim? And you're like, geez, yeah. Because they just went hammer and tongs, mate. And it was gnarly. The Grizzlies. They're not afraid of anybody. When you've got Cam Spencer talking shit to Kevin Durant and then Desmond Bain, all fucking 5'2" of him trying to fight Kevin Durant because of it, you're not afraid of anybody. It's awesome. The Grizzlies, they're also flawed, but they are currently 41-24. They've won 3 on the trot. Ja Morant is playing through an injury. It doesn't sort of seem to matter. If they get Triple J back right at the end of the season and he's healthy and he's ready to go, they're laughing. It's incredible how this team just like faces adversity, right? The Grizzlies, they don't have Ja. Suddenly Triple J's not there. Bane's in and out. It doesn't matter. They just win. So if they're healthy come playoffs, watch out. Puncher's chance. Just saying. It's like you look at them and go, oh, wow, what happened to like the Lakers? And so, well, they ran into a red-hot Grizzlies team that steamrolled them. What happened to like, I don't know, the Rockets in round 1? They got smoked by the Grizz. Who knew? And then What happened with Denver? Well, maybe they don't beat Denver or OKC, but still, who knows what would happen in this playoff run. The Bucks are the same sort of thing in the East. You look at them and you look at the top couple of seeds in the East, and if they're in the 4 spot, I don't know if they could beat Cleveland. If they're in the 6 spot and then suddenly in the other side of the bracket, could they beat the Knicks? Could they beat the Celtics? I don't know, but it'd be a pretty fun puncher's chance at actually winning those rounds and making conference finals. The same goes for the Knickerbockers. If they're healthy, they get Jalen Brunson back, boom. They do have some holes. They're fun but flawed, but they still have a puncher's chance because we know that defense can ratchet up. If Cat, Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges and co. actually deliver with some of the offense as well, who knows? It just feels like Boston's really got their number, though, just saying. Could win it if the chips fall their way, Tia. The Warriors. What a rise! I'd written them off. Jimmy Butler, whatever. He's not spacing the floor. They're cooked. Nah. They've been so good. Underrated aspect of his game is getting the line. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he's also unlocked another level of Steph. Just a nice little rejuvenation tour for Steph Curry right now. Love that. The Warriors, they get Cumbucket back. They still lack a bit of size, but Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond, you know they're going to bring the intensity in a playoff series, and 7 games of that, it's just going to wear you down. They could win it. The problem is, OKC, they'd love to have a crack at OKC. Denver would probably still give them fits just because of the pure size and just of everyone on that Nuggets team, but I don't know. The Warriors got to feel pretty good about themselves. The Nuggets are the other one. They could win it. I said this on yesterday's show, I think, right? 7 games of Jokic. Good luck. It doesn't matter who it is. Good luck. Right? Tough. This is the tier that's called Have Luka Doncic Now and Could Win It. That's the Lakers. God damn it. The Lakers have Luka Doncic. Bah! Anyway, LeBron is taking his customary 2 weeks off to get fresh for the playoffs. He's like, oh yeah, I've hurt my groin. It's like, sure you have, LeBron. And off he goes. A couple of weeks in Aruba. Boom! Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take it to the finals. The Lakers. Adam Silver's gonna make it a Celtics Lakers finals. You can book it. That's a good song. Spiraled off there towards the end, but anyway. The LA Lakers have a chance to now win the title. Right? The size, even though they don't have an actual proper center outside of Jackson Hayes, they've got size everywhere else. Defensively, LeBron has kicked it up a notch. They could win it. They're on that next tier down from the top 3, but you feel like right matchups, they get into a bit of a roll. Luka and LeBron are absolutely flying. Who knows what could happen? They could win it all. Like you saw that Celtics game the other day. It didn't feel like they were completely gelled. They had a shit shooting night. The Celtics might be just a tough matchup, but at the same time, the Lakers were hanging with them until they weren't. Then they came flying back. And then the title goes through them tier. At the 3 spot at the moment, I've got the Celtics. They just have like those big, weird, squirrely 6 to 7 minutes every game. That's why I've got them behind the top 2. But the Celtics are still awesome. The Zinger, if he can come back supercharged.
Supercharged Zinger Burger.
Here we go. Like he's got some weird non-COVID viral illness. What is it? COVID 2.0? Double COVID? I don't know. I'm worried though. It is 5 years, I think, to the exact time where they cancelled that NBA game as well, after Rudy Gobert tested positive. So, Jesus, 5 years. Where did that go? Down the tube, Jim. Yep. So the Celtics, they're in the 3 spot because they can beat anybody. But they also have those weird lapses of concentration where it's like, is that going to kill them in a playoff series? Probably not. Can it lose them a playoff game? Yes, if the competition is good enough. But we saw them go through it last year without having to actually really worry so much. So I'm still not overly concerned. Number 2, Thunder. Winning that first Denver game, but then dropping that second Denver game is why we've got them in the 2 spot. Losing J-Dub for the Boston game tomorrow really, really hurts as well. I just want to see how they measure up with Boston. But OKC have answers across the floor. Like wing defense, laughing. Scoring from the guard positions, laughing. From the wings, laughing. 3-point shooters coming out the wazoo, laughing. Now a bit of size with Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein, laughing. OKC are laughing. I mean, I'll tell you, just absolutely laughing. Could they win it all? Maybe. Tell him he's dreaming, though.
He's dreaming. Tell him he's dreaming. Tell him he's dreaming. Dreaming.
Dreaming. And then finally, Cleveland. Oh, yes. Of course, they're number 1. They're awesome.
Cleveland!
Why is that, Jim? Oh, well, they won 15 straight. What more do you want from me? They're incredible. They look awesome. DeAndre Hunter has completely fulfilled his role. He's been perfect for that team. Much more dependable than my beloved sweet baby Karis LeVert. They look awesome. The title goes through the Boston Celtics, OKC, or the Cleveland Cavaliers at the moment. That is your power rankings for week 21. So quick break, come back with the game previews for tomorrow, and then get the hell out of here right after this.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Kadee.
This is Daryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Ellie.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You listen to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And
you're listening to NBA
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, let's do it. Oh, he's pressed the wrong button. Go to the Patty Mills one. There we go. Patty Mills Game Day Baller Game Day Twitter check-in before we... what was it? It was Patty getting a coffee. That was the Twitter check-in before. Looked pretty good too. Well, Pat, there he is. Just out there. POV, you need a coffee shop before the game. And he keeps going to get a coffee. What is it? A triple flatty. So he gets a triple flat white. On you, Patty. All right. See some game previews for tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Bucks are up by 3 on the Pacers with 3.9 seconds left. Clippers are down 9 to the Pels with 7.5 minutes left in the fourth. I reckon the Bucks are going to win that one. Pretty good. Anyway, tomorrow's games. Thursday, we've got an awesome slate. It's very exciting, so I'm looking forward to... I've got the Sports NXT conference again tomorrow as well, so I'll be in and out, but we'll wrap up all these games because I think I've got a less of a load tomorrow. So we have Charlotte and Atlanta. The Hawks are 8.5-point favorites. I'm taking that in a heartbeat. Like, even if Trey's not playing, we saw them really, really step it up the other day and beat the Sixers. Charlotte not even as good as the Sixers, so we'll go the Hawks, led by Dyson, the Great Barrier Thief. Daniels, minus 8.5. OKC Boston. How good is this? Now, the Thunder without J-Dub, plus 4.5 in Boston. I think OKC could actually take this to the Celtics. I'm going to take OKC plus 4.5. Even without J-Dub, I think they've got enough scoring from the wings in Isaiah Joe with Aaron Wiggins and co. That, I mean, as long as they get into a bit of a shooting contest and hit some of them, they can hang with Boston. And who knows who's actually going to suit up for Boston at the moment, right? I dare say they'll play Brown, Tatum, Wyatt, and Horford. And maybe Giroux? I don't know, but OKC plus 4.5. They're just feisty. Doesn't matter who plays, they are feisty. Toronto host the Sixers in a tankathon matchup. Love this. You know Philly's not going to try, so give me this Raptors minus 3.5 at home in Toronto. Then we've got Dallas at San Antonio, a rematch of the other day. San Antonio lost that game. I think they win this one, so I'm going to go the Spurs minus 5. Dallas just managed to ride some pretty hot shooting. I think the wear and tear, though, of having 7 dudes is really going to catch up with them in this one. So give me the Spurs minus 5.5. Then we've got the Clippers in Miami. They are obviously playing right now up against the Pelicans. It's a bit of a tough ask. I mean, I've just ragged on Miami a bit, but I'm going to take the Heat at home minus 1 just because they won't have Kawhi playing in a back-to-back for the Clippers. And I think Miami can score just enough to get by the Clippers. I don't know if they'll be able to keep up. Utah go to Memphis. That is a 13.5-point line. We'll go the Grizzlies minus 13.5. They have this weird tendency to play down to teams, but Utah are just like rolling nobody out there. So I'm going to go the Grizzlies minus 13.5. If that was any higher, though, I'd probably go Utah. Just FYI. Minnesota, Denver. How good is this? So we've got OKC, Boston, and then Minnesota, Denver as the 2 headliners tomorrow. Denver minus 3.5 against the Wolves. I'm going to go the Nuggets, I think, at home, just because I think we've seen them just really ramp up the offense and defense in that OKC little home and, away series. Now they come home. They host the Wolves, who probably don't have Rudy Gobert, basically. You're looking Ant-Man, Naz Reid, Julius. I think Denver is still just like hitting a nice little roll. They scored 140 on OKC the other day. I think the Nuggets can beat the Wolves. Give me the Nugs minus 3.5. And then the Knicks go to Portland. An interesting one. Portland, a couple of dudes down, but I feel like with the Knicks on this big road trip, they're able to plaster over the gaps of not having Jalen Brunson in yesterday's game against the Kings. Portland at home, I feel like they might be able to just like sort of hang with the Knicks a little bit more. Portland sort of just do that every so often. I'm going to go the Blazers plus 5.5 at home. Just to keep that close. I think the Knicks still win it, but it's a bit of a close one. Sound good? Good. Great. And that's it for today. Remember, you can follow all those vibes over at Dabble. Remember, smash the link in the show description or in the stories on the Facey and IG, etc. Bang in the code NBA Straya. Tell them I sent you. Let's keep this pirate ship afloat. Thank you for all your support. If that's your thing, cheers. If it's not, it's all good. I'm not going to stress. But either way, you can follow along with all the picks that I make over at Dabble. I get our best multis and all that sort of stuff in there as well. So go check that out. But that's it for today. I've got to go run off to the Sport NXT conference, check out the NBA and NBL symposia later on, which will be fun to hear from David Griffin, etc. And see what the Pelicans are going to be doing when they get out here, which will be very fun. But either way, make sure you're following NBA Straya on Twitter, Facey, IG, TikTok, and YouTube. Jump in the comments, share it out, do what you can. It's just me, little old me doing my thing. Get around NFL Straya with myself and Gaz as well. It is chaos in the off-season and free agency in the NFL right now. So Gaz is now back from Bali, so we'll tape an off-season show. Chuck us a rating and review for those on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, whatever app you use on your Android phone. It really does help. That's all I ask. Jump all over it. Share it out. Rate, review, star, comment. Come on, help a brother out. Big thanks always go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song. Check out House Hats, Josh Trudell, Fascinated, Gold Mines, Ramshackle Army, Iowa Sex, Jedi, Green, and Dozers there behind all the tunes you hear throughout the show. So smash them all on Bandcamp, Triple J and Earth, Facey, Apple Music, Spotify. However you follow and listen to your bands, make sure they're Australian bands. NBA Straya supports Australian bands, so should you. All right, that's it for today. We'll be back on deck for a full show tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the power rankings and the standings check-in. Just a fun little one for you. We will catch you tomorrow, you dickheads. This is NBA Straya saying, look after yourselves, would ya? And let us